Okay, guys, it's time for the reading of Fireflies. Again, the story and illustrations were written and drawn by Julie Brinklow. Just for fun, I put a candle out, hoping that it would make things look kind of like they're flickering, like a firefly really would. So, just to use a little imagination here. Okay, here we go. Do not do this at home unless your parents are there with you. I'm just trying to make it a little bit more interesting. Okay, so anyways, Fireflies. On a summer evening, I looked up from dinner through the open window to the backyard. It was growing dark. My tree house was a black shape in the tree, and I couldn't go up there now. But something flickered there. A moment. I looked and it was gone. It flickered again, over near the fence. Fireflies! Don't let your dinner get cold, said Mama. I forked the meat and corn and potatoes into my mouth. Please may I go out? The fireflies. Mama smiled and Daddy nodded. Go ahead, they said. I ran from the table down to the cellar to find a jar. I knew where to look. Behind the stairs. The jars were dusty, and I polished one clean on my shirt. Then I ran back up 2 steps at a time. So he's really excited. He's skipping steps. He is ready to get outside. Holes, I remembered, so they can breathe. And as quietly as I could, so she wouldn't catch me doling them, I poked holes in the top of the jar with Mama's scissors. Uh-oh. Again, I would not try that at home. Let your parents help you do that. You really cut your fingers and get hurt. Plus, your mom's going to be mad if you dole her scissors. The screen door banged behind me as I ran from the house. If someone said, "Don't slam it," I wasn't listening. I called to my friends in the street, "Fireflies!" But they had come before me with polished jars, and others were coming behind. The sky was darker now. My ears rang with crickets, and my eyes stung from staring too long. I blinked hard as I watched them, fireflies, blinking on, blinking off, dipping low, soaring high above my head, making white patterns in the dark. We ran like crazy, barefoot in the grass. Catch them, we cried, grasping at the lights. Suddenly a voice called out above the others. I caught one, and it was my own. I thrust my hand into the jar and spread it open. The jar glowed like moonlight, and I held it in my hands. I felt a tremble of joy, and I shouted, I can catch hundreds! I want you guys to look at these illustrations, and I want you to think of this little boy and think of a story. We've read 2 of them throughout the year with the same character. And anyways, the little boy in the illustrations remind me a lot of these 2 books that we read. So I want you to think about make that text-to-text connection. Think about what are those stories that we read that are similar to this. Excuse me. Then we dashed about, waving our hands in the air like nets, catching 2, 10, hundreds of fireflies, thrusting them into jars, waving our hands for more. Then someone called from my house, "It's time to come in now!" And the others called from other houses, and it was over. My friends took jars of fireflies to different homes. Guys, we can also some people call fireflies lightning bugs, or the same thing. Just depending where you're from, they call them different things. I climbed the stairs to my room, and I set the jar on a table by my bed. Mama kissed me and turned out the light. I caught hundreds, I said. Daddy called from the hallway. See you later, alligator. After a while, crocodile, I called back. I caught hundreds of fireflies. In the dark, I watched the fireflies from my bed. They blinked off and on. and the jar glowed like moonlight. But it was not the same. The fireflies beat their wings against the glass and fell to the bottom and lay there. A little different from being out in their environment, right? The light in the jar turned yellow, like a flashlight left on too long. I tried to swallow, but something in my throat would not go down. And the light grew dimmer, green. The moonlight like moonlight underwater. Notice they're not all flying around and stuff anymore. They're all kind of at the bottom. Do you think those fireflies are feeling very good right now or doing good? I shut my eyes tight and put the pillow over my head. They were my fireflies. I caught them. They made moonlight in my jar, but the jar was nearly dark. I flung off the covers. I went to the window, opened the jar, and aimed it at the stars. Fly! Okay, is he doing the right thing? Definitely. It's always fun to catch fireflies and keep them for a little bit, but they really need to be in their natural habitat to survive. It's not fair for them to be stuck in a jar where they're bumping up against glass and they're so crowded. So even though that was probably a really hard decision for him to make, because selfishly he wanted to keep them, but he knew in his heart that that's probably, that just by watching how they dimmed throughout the night, that it was probably best that he let them go. Then the jar began to glow, green, then gold, then white as the moon, and the fireflies poured out into the night. Fireflies! Blinking on, blinking off, dipping low, soaring high above my head, making circles around the moon like stars dancing. I held the jar, dark and empty, in my hands. The moonlight and the fireflies swam in my tears, but I could feel myself smiling. Did you guys figure out or make the text-to-text connection that I was thinking of? To me, the text that I thought of was Alexander in the No Good, Very Bad Day, and Alexander Who Used to Be Rich Last Saturday. Just because of the way the illustrations are. And the little boy just kind of the way he looks reminds me of Alexander, not necessarily getting in trouble and stuff like Alexander does. But that was the text-to-text connection that I made, and I hope you made as well. I hope you enjoyed this story, and that's it for now. Bye.